we see many times, a spot that's got to be leveled.
This corner?
Yes. We have to find out what direction they want to feed the stove from. You'll notice the stove coming in has got a hole. That hole is going to be oriented that way. This lady's told us what she wants. Okay? The first issue when putting these stoves together is leveling, and we've developed a new orientation for the blocks called the chicken foot. So it's a matter of getting the right tool, getting in there. This lamina has to be fashioned into a circular windbreak that'll sit inside of the stove. We're going to be drilling 4 holes and putting 4 screws into the assembling the, what do you call this, for lack of a better term, the fire ring that will be inside the Nixtamal barrel. A baldy inverted die. 4 screws holds this thing together, and it'll be placed eventually into here. Everything is level now, and notice that we're where the homeowners are going to be able to feed the fire from this side. It's a matter again of a little bit of shimming and getting everything level. There's no fire threat. It's all in this is the tongue. The first piece that goes in is the tongue. This is of course the bottom of the fire area. This piece of metal allows air to come into the bottom of the fire chamber. The boots. 2 boots are the side supports, obviously. The pond right here, the T. It's got to come in on the. You'll notice that none of this is mortared together. It's all going to be held together by the insulating material, which.
Okay, trim it.
No, wait, we're missing one piece. Smooth side in, and now the trivet. Trivet goes all the way down to the bottom, and this is of course where the pot will set, which okay, piece of cardboard to cover that puppy up. This allows air to come up from the firebox, and the heat comes up out here underneath the pot, which would be sitting right here, comes underneath and then vents out. What you see here that looks like gravel is has a lot of pumice in it. Provides great insulation to keep the outside of the stove cool, to keep the heat in, of course, to support the firebox. All of these functions by this readily available material. This has a little bit more sand in it than we normally see. We'll fill it all the way up to the bottom of the trivet, pretty much leveled inside. We then center
here it is.
What becomes a very nice windbreak. And fire channel, so to speak, heat channel. And another way to hold that heat in against the pot that eventually will be in, and just we hope the pot just fills that chamber to keep all that heat doing what it's supposed to do. After this stove has been in use for a month or two, that a lot of this will settle, and they'll add some more, hopefully add some more around the edges.
Sí. Sí. Ah, bueno. ¿Sí? Perfecto.
Sí, bonito. Para poner
Excelente.
agua para bañar.
Sí, 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 sí. Mucho espía.
First, we want to keep about a block length away from the wall. Second, we need to make sure that the lamina, that's the roof above, doesn't have a joint where our chimney is going to come out of the stove. So that's already been looked at, and the positioning that is being done right now is in relationship to the lamina above.
That's good. That's really close.
This is quite an easy installation because we don't have to excavate. Many times on a dirt floor, it's not level at all. Once the base has been established with the cinder blocks, we're ready to put the pre-formed stove parts on. All of this leveling makes the next parts quite easy. These are the first two parts. These are the parts that are pre-done for us and delivered to site. The final large piece will be set in place over the top here.
Okay, need shampoo.
Even if, with all of the leveling that's been done at this point, we're still not finished with leveling. You'll notice that
Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy.
getting everything in order here, there's still going to be shimming, especially at the back of these stoves.
There, that's good.
The only one?
All of these parts, the bag is full of pumice, the box is full of pieces that are pre-done for us that are the inside of the firebox. These terracotta pieces are many times our biggest problem because they do break very easily. This is the approximate size we have, and this is what the firebox will be made out of. These are very fire resistant, but they're very fragile, and we find a lot of them broken, unfortunately.
It's the T. Twins. I don't know why they call this one, it's just too long.
Many of these have to be shaped a little bit, and we find that shaping them is pretty easy. We use the side of the cinder blocks. It's like sandpaper. The opening to the firebox is surrounded by steel. At the bottom of the steel is where air is allowed to come in under the fire.
Boot. There's two boots. Preferably smooth side in. Can't happen on this one.
Are you taking a video?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Many times that last piece is a tough one and we have to work hard to get that in. This one fit beautifully. You see the metal piece right here that we put in from the other side. Has to be an airspace underneath. We're careful to keep that clean, and this tool is going to be part of the housekeeper's best friend. When we're at this point, we have to fill with pumice, and pumice will help insulate, keep that concrete from being totally destroyed. And now it's a matter of scooping. The area that we're filling with pumice right now becomes what is known as the elbow area. The most important part of this type stove, because it brings the flame up flat underneath the metal part where people cook on, which is called the plancha. These wings that are in place, called the twins, help direct that fire under the plancha, which is the last thing that we'll be putting in place. Eventually, on this ramp leading up to the back, and you notice at the back where we put another metal piece, that's where the metal chimney will be secured from the outside. It gives a space back there where the air comes in and then drops down and goes out through the chimney. Always something drops down into that metal area, and we got to make sure that's out of there so there's a good draw on this stove. This pipe is obviously very critical, and the height of the pipe is critical. We have to be above the roof, which in this case is a lamina, and we have to have enough draw up there in order for the smoke to be pulled away. We've already positioned this stove so that it doesn't meet one of the creases, one of the overlaps in the lamina. You'll see the overlap is straight above Ted's head, and now they're making sure where they're going to be drilling the hole for the pipe. We're starting the first, the guide hole in the lamina. An elbow coming out of the back of the stove.
So that's kind of a no-brainer part there.
This is the plancha. Comes in two major pieces. They fit down very tightly, and you notice he's trying to make smooth underneath so that that area where the hot gases come is level all the way across the bottom of the plancha. Obviously, coming out of the hole here is where the major heat is going to be. But we want to make sure with the right draw that the flame goes all the way to the back part of the plancha. Now these holes are then filled with pieces, and that makes this stove flexible for different sized pots. Pieces that fit into those openings, and you notice that they come out, so we can put a big pot, smaller pot, and finally cover it completely when they're doing the tortillas. So that's a complete top. We call that complete top the plancha. The top of the chimney has a weather guard we call the sombrero. This is going to be coming in from the top. We've made sure that all of the sombrero pieces are well crimped so that the wind, which is ferocious in this part of the country, doesn't cause this to go somewhere else. We're going to drop that sombrero piece down through this drilled hole. Now this is where we run into a bit of a problem, because our people, our volunteers, are not allowed to be on the roof. So when it comes through this opening, we then caulk it with fire-resistant silicone. This is a new piece that's been added. It gives a lot of workspace. Thank you. Now we're getting the stovepipe down from above. One of the final things we do on the inside of the installation is to anchor the stovepipe. Usually we drop this screen around, but this installation made it easier for us to put the screen on after we had put the chimney in place. Obviously the screen is there to keep the young'uns from burning their hands on this very, very hot stovepipe. Fire can be fed from both the bottom or the top. Just finishing up the wires. It's very hot now, and the draw across the plancha is very good.
Behind the stove, nobody